It peaked for me in college. So when I was like 18 to 23, 24, I was always sad about girls, like every day. Hey T1J, how can someone be less sad about relationships and girls? Well, I don't know how old you are, but I don't think that's something you can just like snap and fix. First of all, like it's okay to be sad about relationships. You know, breakups are sad, rejection is sad. So it's like it's okay to be sad about it. The problem is when it gets toxic, when it starts affecting your view of like all women, or when it like affects your behavior, things like that. The thing you have to realize is there is billions of people on this planet. You should be like, well, I got to live life and I got to have an experience and I got to meet somebody that I thought was cool, and that was a blessing. The way that I think of things like this is it's just like any other skill. It just requires practice. So if you want to get better at handling rejection, then just practice. Trust me, if you keep trying to date, you'll probably deal with some rejection. That's just part of life. If you practice, centering yourself, taking care of yourself, and thinking, rationally and not overly dramatically about things, you'll get better at it over time. This isn't professional advice and may be kind of wishy-washy, but learning to treasure the platonic familial relationships you have helps to fill the void you may be feeling. I mean, that's something that I probably should have added. Like, I don't know if it helps, but what I would say is that romantic and sexual relationships are not the entire point of being alive. And I think it is really important to try to internalize that there are a lot of other cool types of relationships. First of all, you can have very, very fulfilling friendships, very, very fulfilling relationships with family members. You do not have to go, drive yourself wild trying to find romantic relationships. There are other good relationships out there. You can pursue romantic relationships, but just keep in mind there are other cool things in life. And even outside of relationships, it doesn't have to be all about romance and sex. You can get lost in your work. You can get lost in hobbies. You can get lost in school. There's so many things that you can focus your energy on, that to where you don't have to feel sad because one part of it isn't working out. I think that I had similar feelings like that maybe until like 28 or 29. It peaked for me in college. So when I was like 18 to 23, 24, I was always fucking sad about girls, like every day. And I just over time, I internalized that, hey, this is not the only thing in the world. Because of that sadness, I had bad ideas about women. I think a lot of it was, borderline misogyny, if not actual misogyny. Basically this idea is like, oh, women are all the same. They only want X. Women do this, and you got to do this if you want to get women. And the combination of that and just being like this pathetic, sad person all the time, that is not attractive to women, it turns out. So it's a cycle. So if the problem is you're not getting the attention from women that you want, and you react to it by being a jackass, that's going to result in you not getting attention from women, and it's a cycle. Was I an incel? Kinda. I've said this before, but I was lucky enough that I grew up before social media was like a huge thing. Like Facebook existed, I think Reddit existed, but it wasn't like a big thing. But like if I was in my 20s today, I very easily could have fell into some kind of incel community on Reddit. 100% that could have happened to me. So I'm a bit lucky that I didn't have this online community that validated my toxic beliefs, and I was able to sort of think about it on my own and come out of it. For me, it was just me sort of ignoring all those other things that I enjoyed. I played a lot of video games. I had a lot of really great friends, but at the time, I just felt like they were less important than my quest for sex and romance. But that's the thing that I worked on too, as I was mentioning before, is realizing that I had all these great relationships already that weren't romantic or sexual, but they were still fulfilling and great. What specifically got me out of the incel mentality? I think it was a combination of a lot of stuff. Because the incel mentality, I think, is a byproduct of just an overall bad attitude about people and women and things like that. I talked about it in a couple videos where at some point in my life, I just had kind of like an epiphany about basically sort of like getting over yourself and just realizing like you can't just do whatever you want and act however you want and expect everyone to just be okay with that and still do whatever you want and still be in your life and still have relationships with you. Like, if you want things to work out in your life, you have to put effort. If you want relationships to work, you have to put effort. You can't just take everything for granted and then be sad if it goes away. That definitely applies to romantic relationships, but it also applies to a lot of other things. And that was just sort of an epiphany that I had at some point, maybe of like age 24-ish, 25. And obviously I didn't perfect it as soon as I had that epiphany. I still had to work on it. But that was kind of the turning point. And it was sparked by some things happening to me, like some people I wanted in my life, but I didn't act like I wanted them in my life. I didn't show any appreciation for them. I wasn't that nice to them. But I'm sitting here sad that they eventually were like, yeah, I'm out. And I was like, well, I can't be sad. It's my fault. And that just kind of hit me. Thank you for watching that stream highlight. I hope it was enjoyable. I'll probably make a few of those every now and then, not too often. But I did want to pop in here to tell you guys about this survey that I have. For those that have been longtime viewers of the channel, you may know that I survey my audience every year just to get like demographic information, to know what you're into, what kind of people you are. You know, there's a little bit of that in analytics, but I want to know more than what YouTube tells me. So I have a little survey that I would like you all to fill out. You can go to the link in the description below to do that for me. It probably will take anywhere from about 10 to 40 minutes ish. So if you have a little bit of time to fill it out, I'd be very grateful if you did that for me. And by the way, every single question is optional. If you want to skip any of the questions, feel free to. You do not have to answer any question you don't want to. The only question that isn't optional is the very first one, because there's some issues with the way that the survey works where it can be submitted without any of the questions actually being answered, and we don't want that. So we have to have at least one question that has to be answered. But other than that, you can skip all of the questions if you want, or any that you don't feel comfortable answering. It's completely up to you. So if you want to and you feel like doing that for me, that would be very much appreciated. And thanks again for watching my videos, and look out for the next video coming soon, probably next week, I think.